Said Garrett in a statement issued yesterday, one of the things that motivated me to accept this position was the opportunity to help rebuild the Giants into a contending team. We knew there would be many challenges. My expectations for our offense were much greater than what our results have been, and I accept full responsibility for that. Look, that's noble and maybe appropriate, but the question is, if Jason Garrett's firing is step one, what's step two?
Yeah.
Who needs to be, concerned that their key card isn't going to work this morning when they show up? And it's not necessarily this morning, but who's the next one to go now that they've started down this path of making people accountable with their jobs?
Yeah, that's one where I'd be interested to see where it goes. I'm going to play the card or bet that nothing happens. I'm going to say this is the marquee move of this year. And then if anything else happens, it's going to happen in the offseason. I mean, it's whoa. You're really climbing an uphill battle. You're going to go finish the last, 6-7 games here without an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. I know there's Giants fans out there that are going, well, what about Patrick Graham? The defense hasn't been great either. Well, yeah, they got some issues on that side of the ball too that I think we could point to the players on the field to go, man, that's tough, just like Jason Garrett on the offense. The thing Patrick Graham has a little bit is, again, I think going back to what we started this conversation, there's a fundamental approach that probably agrees with Joe Judge there too. They came from New England. So, they're in the same trust tree for all the points that you've made. And I think the points I'm trying to make is just as far as off the field approach, work, how you do all of that. And, it'll be interesting to see if there's any more big-time cutthroat moves here. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. This was the move that he knew he was going to have to make at some point. He did it, and it puts everybody on notice and puts a flame under everybody's butt here at the end of the year to see if he can get the best out of everybody going into, December and early January.
What if they've already decided Dave Gettleman's out as GM? Do you go ahead and make the move now and commence the process of finding the replacement and letting the fans know that you get it, we understand it, that this ultimately is a talent thing, not a coaching thing, and we're going to take extra time to search for a general manager who will be paired with Joe Judge, and we're going to make sure that this is somebody who wants Joe Judge, and we're going to move forward with the coach that we don't believe is the problem and without the GM who, frankly, all objective evidence would suggest is the problem.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I think there's a lot that points there, certainly, and I think Jason Garrett is be fair to, point, to that a little bit for him as far as why he got fired. It's tough. It's tough to make a good meal when the ingredients aren't that great, but I think when the Giants what it comes down to, like, to me, it would be two things if I try to put myself in their shoes a little bit. Just, one, are you definitely going to fire a Dave Gettleman? I mean, if you feel like, okay, as a family, the Maras and the Tishes, they know they're going to go that route at the end of the year, then I would say go ahead and make that move. As long as you're willing to. I think the second part of that is just realize that, this year's over. You're chalking it up, and you're going to have to answer a lot of questions about this, the last month and a half of the year, just about where the franchise is going. Do you want to open up Pandora's box to that? That would be the two things I think you would have to think about there, certainly. But, I don't know, where do you lie there, Mike? I feel like, hey, if you feel like you're going to make that move, for all the reasons you talked about, I would go ahead, get it done. It's the New York freaking Giants. It's still a special organization. There's still going to be a lot of people that want that job. And, you get a little head start on, getting in some people's ears and having some conversations behind the scenes about maybe who you want, going into the future.
This was the debate that transpired several years ago when Mike McCarthy was fired in early December by the Packers. There was the argument that it's disrespectful to him, let him finish the year. The other side of it is, look, we're going to start looking for our next coach. And word's going to get out that we're looking for our next coach. So let's just go ahead and vacate the premises so everybody knows we're looking for our next head coach. And I look at it that way. If John Mara or anyone else in that organization is beginning the process of evaluating who the next GM will be, just get rid of the GM you currently have.
Yeah.
Give someone, whether it's Kevin Abrams or someone else, an opportunity to do the job on an interim basis for the rest of the year, just to get a sense of whether or not it could possibly work, a little on-the-job audition.
Right.
And then you've got maximum opportunity to cast the broadest possible net to find the person who will be the best to work with your current head coach. And the reality is, if you find along the way somebody that you really, 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 really like that may not be tied to your head coach, that changes the analysis a little bit. So there is some risk here, I think.
Sure.
I don't like it. Let me say this.
I know you don't
like changing the GM and keeping the coach.
Right.
Get rid of everybody or get rid of nobody. But this is what dysfunctional teams, frankly, end up doing. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, and it is dysfunctional inherently to put yourself in a spot where you're keeping your coach and you're bringing in a new person who is supervising the coach who may want someone else to have that job. You don't want that on the way in the door. You don't want it. You don't even want to question whether you've got it. You want and I've said this before. It's like remember the old three-legged race they would do at parades. That's what a coach and a GM have to be. You are tied together, and you either both run or you both fall.
Yeah.
That's the way it needs to be in order to make sure everyone's on the same page. And because when there's adversity, and there always is at some point, you don't want the coach blaming the GM.
Right.
You don't want the GM blaming the coach.
Yeah.
They're together.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
No, you're right. I mean, listen, that's the formula that works for just about every successful organization through the history of time. I mean, there's no doubt. There has to be that cohesiveness there. And, that's where, again, do the Giants want to, pull the cord on Dave Gettleman and have more of the dysfunction conversation surround their team right now? Or maybe they just go, it already is that conversation. The hell with it. Let's just, continue to go on down that road. I know it's a tough one, Mike. That's where I go back to yesterday. Again, as you know, I'm a believer in Joe Judge. I would love to see them get a GM that is a Joe Judge backer, maybe from the New England system again, or somebody that knows him, that's certainly going to give him his due shot with the proper roster and team. And then, you say something to that GM where, hey, listen, if it doesn't work, then we'll give you one shot to hire your guy, and you bring somebody in and we go from there. But, man, I don't know. Again, like I said yesterday, I don't have the same feeling with Joe Judge as I did with Shermer or McAdoo, where I just went, whoa, they're totally, in over their head here. Joe Judge, I know it's not been pretty, but my thoughts about the way he kind of handles the team and the game plans going forward for the most part. The approach has been the right way to me as a football guy, but he needs some help and needs some better ingredients to get better results. That's the biggest thing, and that's where I don't know where it goes. And Mike, last thing too, I just wanted to bring this up because with all the GM talk and the Mike McCarthy, analogy you used, for me, for the GM position, I think it's even more important to pull the cord and get the conversation going over the coach. Because what I really would be worried about is, okay, now we're going to go into the offseason. The season's over. We're the second week of January. Man, that's a time where, end of January, early February, you really start to come up with your plans a little bit as where the future of your team, where do you want it to go? You start building your plan through free agency and your own team's free agents and who you want to keep. And, that to me is a big part of, this decision the Giants will have with Dave Gettleman too, because you want to get that process started to have a guy in there to kind of start laying the groundwork to get on the right page with Joe Judge too at some point. And that's certainly something that crosses my mind.
And it's hardly ideal to make these changes in January when you're talking about a new front office because you've already got your draft plans.
Yeah, they're
happening.
Right.
2 first-round picks.
I know.
Next year.
That's why I
want
to do it quick. I think here.
And both are going to be potentially pretty high because it's the Bears' first-round pick that they hold. Right now, it's the 5th and 7th pick that will be held by the Giants. So they already are formulating their plan on what to do with it. So you're going to turn your plan upside down. You're going to bring in somebody new. You don't want to put yourself behind. You don't want to make it a Herculean task, and you don't want to basically forfeit a year of development because you accept, well, there's only so much we're going to get done.
Yeah,
we just
right.
do what we can. You
Right.
you want to have continuity. And look, this is one of the reasons why the good teams are good teams, why the functional teams do functional things. They don't put themselves in a spot like this. They don't have to. They don't have these conversations. Look at Pittsburgh. You're not firing Mike Tomlin. You're not firing Kevin Colbert. When one season ends, we move on to the next one.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.